All right. So it's actually a wonderful thing that we are able to kickstart this, seeing that we have been deliberating on it for a very, very long time.
I think it's about 2 years already, right?
Exactly, over 2 years to be able to start the first episode of this podcast, and it's something of delight because I believe that it's something that we are going to learn from. Like it will give us understanding. We can be able to enlighten ourselves, and just have a good time together, and possibly learn, and give us ways, help us in issues where we ought to have better perspective in issues of everyday life. What do you say about that?
I think while we were thinking about starting this stuff, I think majorly it was about people acting out what they don't actually say.
Yeah.
And in most cases, you see people vent out talks and yet they do the opposite. It's quite shocking to me at times. And I'd be like, you raise up questions and I'd be like, I've never thought about this question before. I'd be like, wow. And that's the real thing for this conversation right now. That's the reason for we starting this stuff, that we want to ask ourselves questions whereby you might not have thought about it.
Of course. It's like we're challenging ourselves, those deep provoking thought questions. And it's something that actually shines light to the heart and to the mind, and really think that, okay, what if I was really in this kind of situation? What will I have done? I think I remember an example of that, and I've told you like over 2 or 3 times now. Like we were actually on a journey in a bus, and we were standing together, and there was this lady sitting down, and nails were painted, and she was on her phone, and then you drew my attention to her. You were like, what do you think about nails? And I was like, at that moment I was dumbstruck, like what do I actually think about them? Do they look beautiful? Why do people do them? Do I appreciate them? And a lot of things just went through my head, and from there I had to like do my research on it, and I'm like, anyway, bro, I'm not going to talk about
but bro, you literally could not give me an answer in like 3 minutes. You were just blank. I'd be like,
exactly,
I never really thought about girls fixing nails. I'd be like,
exactly.
No, to me, I think I've actually seen girls fix nails, but that day, looking at that, somehow it felt different that day. Yeah. And having you around, I know, of course, what I would say, I know you love conversation, and you really, really discuss a lot, and I like it that you try as much to be as authentic as you can. That's what I really appreciate about you, actually.
Exactly.
I just had to throw that question in because to me, the nails look, I don't know, do I like them?
I had to actually think about that, and talking about conversations, and actually difficult conversations now. I would like to ask, how do you handle like difficult but necessary conversations from your end? Like some conversations are very like necessary to make, but then they are difficult, especially maybe you want to tell somebody the truth, you want to like say no to the request of somebody, and it can hurt the feeling of the person or things like that. So like talking about conversations, how do you actually handle such?
If I get it correctly, you mean something I can't back away from?
You just have to like discuss with this person, iron things out with this person.
We could think of this in different facets, but I think the way I understand this question, basically I know if they are necessary, one impediment was going to be my ego. And I point that out first. So far, I have jumped the gun most times out of my ego and being impatient. I just vent nonsense and trash off my head. But with time, I've learned, and I try as much to detach my ego. I try as much to be less emotional.
Emotional?
Yeah. I find out that one really impedes a lot.
Of course, and it's actually interesting that you brought up the emotion part of it, because most of the time, we go with feelings instead of facts.
Yes.
So we are like feeling like, okay, how will this person feel? How will I react to? How will I be able to say this thing?
Yes.
Will my feelings get into it, or will I be conscious of what this person thinks about me before I say it and after I say it? Those kind of things, I think it gets into it. And instead of saying the fact, saying the truth. Okay, let's use this scenario now. For example, it's you have a friend But then, you have tried to iron things out, and then it's not like working. This person is not the best kind of friend for you, and then you are trying to like cut off from that person, but you want to like have this honest conversation and let this person understand
one another.
Exactly. Like it's not like I want to try to avoid you exactly, but I'm just trying to tell you that look, if this and this is not changing, then I have to cut off my friendship. No
it's
matter
more like
what.
you making boundaries. Like as of course, for us to really grow, we have to like reevaluate relationships that we have and see how valuable they are to us, how they are contributing.
Exactly.
So take for example, you scan one of the relationship and be like, oh, I feel we've not cut boundaries on this relationship. Now, of course, it's going to be as if you are coming off to judge someone of how imperfect they are, which that's not really the case, but you are trying. It's very uncomfortable actually.
Of course.
But of course, to really execute that, you have to detach your ego, detach emotions from it. But this is one thing. What if you have done that, but the other person does not understand removing the ego, removing the emotion? In such kind of situations, what do you think one can do?
And actually, that's where the question actually comes in, that the unnecessary conversation. So, and it's difficult in that aspect. But I think since you have poured out your mind and you're like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what is convenient and what is best for me at this moment, the best thing is to just leave it at that. Like, I believe once you have separated your ego and you have seen the light, you have seen the truth for what it is, and you have the facts already, it's not like
objectively.
Exactly. It's not like you are lying against the person to get out of that situation or anything like that. You just have to go. It's sometimes it takes time
let it be
for understanding to come to the person and say, oh, now I understand why that person actually left me. Now I can realize where the problem lies in my own part and not on the part of the person. So, and I think that is one of the ways actually that one can actually handle that, by separating the emotions
and the ego
and the ego. And talking about judgment, you said something the other time about judgment. So the question I would now want to ask now is that why are we quick to judge others by their actions, but we want others to judge us by our intentions? Like, have you ever thought about that before?
Really, I would say because it's easier. It takes off the pressure from us and just dump it on someone else.
Actually, just like the Bible said in Matthew, where it was like, you have a beam in your eyes and you're looking at the log in the eyes of the other person. Like, instead of you to remove this one, you want to help the other person remove theirs.
In that sense, yes. And also, secondly, I think it brings about a moral superiority. I don't know how best to explain it, is that someone feels much more moral if they feel you're the bad guy.
Yes.
They play victim card too.
Exactly. I think I get that aspect. So in the sense, like, my intentions are always good, but your action shows that your intentions were bad.
So judge me by that.
Exactly.
But yet we still fail to like look at people that way, but we are just quick to react to what they've done and not see the intentions. It's a horrible thing as we humans, what we display out there, but I think it's something we have to work on as a society too.
Yes, everyone has to work. And I have an example of that actually.
Go on.
There was a time when I was in the bus and I was sitting down. A guy was like walking out of the bus to actually get out my light at the next stop. But then he stepped on me, and he didn't look back, he didn't do anything, and just left like that. So I was like,
tell me you're a fool, man.
Actually, at that moment, for the next 30 to 60 seconds, I was like, within me, there were different things. Called him, like, point his attention to what he had done. Let him apologize, let him do this. And things like that. But then at another moment, it just came to me like, what if you were the one? How would you want that person to actually react to you? Do you exactly? Yes, because we were in the bus, will I want somebody to just point my attention and begin to shout at me,
And harass,
and then
yeah.
I don't even understand what this person is saying?
Oh God.
So when I thought about that, I calmed down. I was like, okay, let this pass. Hopefully that somebody will repay me that
That kindness, yeah.
that kindness
Yep,
that I
yeah.
actually did. So I actually let it pass. And you see, thinking about that and reflecting on that, one thing it shows me is that it exposes my weakness, and
Yeah.
it exposes the things I have to work on.
Inside.
Like, yeah, exactly, the anger issue. Like, didn't you see what he did? He used to apologize and stuff.
Yeah.
And also in the sense that, I need an apology before I can give my forgiveness. And if you look at around us today, actually, you see that is what is trending in the world, because people is like, I can't forgive unless I get an apology from you. And it's actually very bad, because it's showing you a nature that is not good. You don't have peace within you. Imagine the person did not beg me, and the person left, and then I just take it and say, oh, you and the people that look like you, all of you are so weak, and then I have this animosity just anytime I see,
just from a biased view.
Exactly, from a biased view. So sometimes I think one just has to like let those things go,
and instead learn from them.
Yeah.
We take Christ as our mentor, right?
Yes.
Of course, we are from a Christian background, and
yes,
our main focus is Christ. We ought to be like him. We strive for that.
Yeah.
And in as much as Christ has taught us so many things, in the case of, okay, one chick was slapped, turned the other.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's not something easy
to do.
But
yeah,
to me, with even the story you just illustrated now, points me to the fact that you could point out inside of you that, oh, maybe I had anger issue, or maybe I was quick to judge,
yes,
or maybe I haven't considered why what happened, why he stepped on me, or
the
why
situations around,
yeah. Bro. No, we thinking about all the situation critically and try not to be way too forward. It's still part of the Christian journey, man.
Yes, very true. And this is actually a challenge to our listeners, and a question also: do you actually judge others by their actions? Do you consider them? Do you at times, do you think that they didn't purposely do what they do?
Checking the intentions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you check the intentions behind it and be like, okay,
what was the motive?
The motive behind it? So don't just judge people by their actions, and because, oh, this is what I saw, then that is what is actually behind it. Most of the time, it's not always like that. Most of the time, it's not always like that. So, and one thing also I've been thinking of lately, and I would like to throw to you, and we will actually deliberate on that and talk about that, is that if you are to instill like three things, let's say traits, character, anything, just three things into a child that is growing up, to actually make them to be able to navigate life based on the things that you have seen, and based on the wisdom that you have gotten from people that are ahead of you, and based on the things that the people that you have surrounded yourself with, and things, the mistakes of others. Okay, let's put it that way: the mistakes of others, and the failures of others, based on those things. So if you are to instill like just three, I know there are a lot of things that we have to learn in life, but just three things, values that you think will actually help one to be grounded. Can you?
Well, for me, one right now,
Yeah,
I think the understanding behind pain. I feel it's something we need to understand properly, and necessity for accepting pain for what it is, but in the standpoint of the purpose behind such pain, and probably the need to glorify pain at sometimes, frankly. I don't know, but for me personally, so far, I feel conquering some pain, you ought to glorify them, because without them you wouldn't be who you are. And I see a trend whereby people reject pain and time it to be a bad thing, but perhaps it was what you needed at that moment.
Yes.
And I think the revelation behind that pain was Job, because it's one of my favorite characters. Job and Daniel, I love those two men. frankly.
Of course.
So that's for pain. Secondly, I think the fear of God too will do. The fear of God, frankly, I respect men who fear God because they will do what's right,
Yes.
rather than men who are not devoted or who care less about God, because they have nothing they would subject themselves to. Just like the judge in scriptures, where I think was it the woman who came to a judge who feared God nor men.
Yeah,
God
the
of
judge
Israel.
didn't fear. Yeah.
Such a man is a horrible man.
Of course.
You don't want to fall his hand. Because
Very
he gave no
bad.
reference to God nor man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I the fear of God, it really helps shaping the character of men. And thirdly, wow, patience, please.
Patience.
Yeah. We need some patient people around, please. Yeah.
Exactly. Very true.
I've felt the hand of impatience.
The patient dog eats the fattest bone. That's what they say, right?
Yeah, the patient dog is the fattest bone.
And with patience, actually, one of the things I've learned with patience is that it gives you growth. Because when you are patient, you are growing in that process.
Yeah.
And also it teaches you lessons, even from like the life of those that have gone ahead of you, and you are able to understand, okay, because of what I've seen in this person's life, what I've seen in this person's life, what I've seen in this person's life, I'm going to like try and avoid this. I'm going to like incorporate this into my life and things like that, by being patient and
to critically observe.
Exactly. It's like you want to open a business now. That we have a lot of people in the world today that once it comes to business, once they hear, oh, this is the new business in town, immediately they jump into it. I know, can I get some money here? Can I get this one here? Finance here?
The lack of patience
exactly to do all those things is lacking.
Forgive me, I think I just remembered something while we were discussing.
All right.
I think one more thing I would instill into a child is accountability, please.
Yes, very true.
We need to be accountable to someone.
Very true.
Although I think it ties to the reference for God and fear of God, but even we being we fearing God, we referencing, of course, the fear of reference, right?
Yeah.
Of His power and omnipotence. I think being accountable to either a cause, being accountable to a man to a certain degree, I think it's necessary.
Yes.
Being accountable to certain principles, being accountable to certain rules that you live by, not just the idea of you being free of no boundaries. God of Israel, I feel you need boundaries to really attain purpose.
Very true. Accountability is something that has ruined a lot of life. Like those that are not actually accountable, to either a friend, a mentor, a teacher, or to their parents. In fact, at a young age, it has actually ruined a lot of things. And from my own side, I think I agree with basically what you have said. From my own side, I think we had understanding of things. It kind of goes along with understanding pain, just like you have said, understanding purpose. So is like, let's take the example of Adam and Eve. And they were told, the day you eat this forbidden fruit, you shall die. But because they had the knowledge that, okay, this tree is the good of knowledge, the fruit, good and evil. And okay, God says the day we eat it, we shall die. But because there is no real understanding
of what
about what that means, so they went ahead and ate the forbidden fruit, and we saw what happened. So most of the times in life, when we are being given instructions, we have knowledge, we have everything, we tend to at times still want to disobey those things because we don't understand the repercussion.
That we strive for understand. I think I understand you big time.
Exactly.
Not just acting impulsively.
Yes, exactly.
Sit down, be patient, have the understanding, knock your research.
I'm telling you, it may work for others, but then you need to have the understanding. Okay, why is this thing wrong for me to do? Why is this thing okay for me to do? Why should I not do this? Why should I not do the understanding, the deeper understanding to it?
In another way, also the understanding of worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Making life decisions. Maybe let's talk about venturing into a business.
Yeah.
You would consider all the risk and everything. I think
Yeah.
one question would be, what's the worst that could happen? And
exactly.
understanding what it actually means.
Exactly.
Because
So
sometimes we say the worst that will happen is that I'll lose my investment. So that understanding is like not being able to sponsor whoever is in your care. You get that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I'd be like, yeah, I agree with you. Get understanding really over decisions, get understanding over ideas and stuff, not just acting impulsively. Although that might work in some cases, but perhaps we need understanding.
Yeah. Of course. And a very good example of that before we end today's discussion is when we look at the life of Moses also, he was told to just speak to the rock, but we saw that it struck a different time, and we saw the repercussion of it because he didn't have the understanding of that. Because of what he did, he risked his entry into the promised land. So in today's world now, we have the Bible that gives us understanding of things, like if you go this way, if you go this way, this is what will happen, this is what we are. So when we actually get into it and we get a proper understanding of it, I think one's life can actually be secured. The future of one can be secured. The child can actually grow, and most of the mistake that people make at his age and everything, he avoids all those things, and then he still has the peace, he still has the joy and everything still within him. So I think that's actually okay. And for those of you that are listening, if you have any contrary thing to what we have just said, or you want to add any more, you can actually, and you can drop that in the comment section below.
Yeah, please.
So don't forget, our challenge for you today, as we have discussed about, is how well do you treat others? Do you judge others by their actions, and you are expecting others to judge you by their intentions, or do you actually show that you really care about others and you portray kindness even to others, even when the action that they made, it's not something that you were expecting? Are you actually considerate about that?
Yeah, let's have more men that are considerate around, please.
Exactly. Exactly. We have more people that are considerate. And you see, that brings us actually to the end of today's episode, and it's a wonderful time, being the first time. I'm really, really glad that
same here
that this is taking off. I'm really, 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 really glad. And thank you to every one of you that will be listening to this. And we hope that you're able to get something that is, beneficial to you. Thank you very much for listening. And if you enjoy our podcast, please make sure that, spread the good news. Spread the good news around, And if you enjoy our show, please make sure that you rate and review us on the Spotify podcast and Apple podcast. And be sure to actually come back next week, for another discussion, another interesting discussion and conversation. And until then, this is Abbott and Philmovs, and we are saying goodbye. And don't forget, live life, be happy, and always trust in God.
Trust in God, please.
Exactly. And have the fear of God, for goodness sake.
Bye.
Yeah, that's it.